So my sport responsibilities at Case include men's soccer, men's and women's swimming and diving, and baseball. But with the pandemic, we're all in charge of every team right now, so just helping each other out. But those are my three main responsibilities. And then the next question, so why the path to athletic training? So unfortunately in high school, I had a couple of injuries. And so I had to see my athletic trainer, Erin, fall sick, and she really encouraged me to just keep with it. It's going to be okay. We go through this. And so having that background of being through some injuries, nothing really major, fortunately. But I feel like I can connect to the athletes on that level. And actually in high school, we had the 3 high schools in my area had vocational programs. And so it was actually between culinary and medical, quite opposite ends of the spectrum, to be honest. And obviously I chose the medical path. It's so rewarding seeing somebody come back after a major injury or a surgery. Just yesterday, actually, one of my athletes came in without their crutches and I was ecstatic. It was so cool. It was only like a week and a half on crutches, but I was like, oh my gosh, you can walk, or like, I remember the first major injury that I ever had to help somebody with, and she ran for the first time. I almost was in tears, and I was like, this is so cool. Just being able to support them and help them along that way. It's just super rewarding to me, and you're always learning. You can't possibly know everything, and I never expect to know everything. So that's really fun for me. So I have 2. I can't just choose one. One of them was in 2018 when the men's soccer team made it to the Elite 8. That was actually the first year I worked with soccer, so I started just after the fall had already ended. But I very, very clearly remember that shootout and the save that Charlie made, and just there's a photo, somebody captured such an incredible photo, and it is engraved in my memory. And every time I walk out the door from upstairs, I see it. Just so awesome to be a part of something. And there were some injuries that year, and I'm kind of a part of that. Being able to help them come back and be a part of a successful season is so fun. And just, I remember everybody storming the field, and I didn't know what to do. I'm like, wow, like this is so incredible. I was just so excited. And my sports medicine students were jumping around and so excited. And that just, it's so memorable. And my second one, from 2019, when baseball made the NCAA D3 postseason at Worcester. And they've been a really good competitor for us the past couple of years, at least as long as I've been here. We've won some, we've lost some, but we got there and we took them on, and they're at home, we beat them, and that was awesome. Everybody was obviously excited to make it, but then to actually beat them at their home field was awesome. It was almost like the same excitement of making the Elite 8, and everybody's jumping around, and it was fun. I actually was at the selection show, and that's always fun. You see videos of that all the time, and it's like, wow, that would be so cool. And then, you're with the team and they make it, and it's like, it's even more exciting. So those are probably my top 2 memories at Case. These are some tough questions, man. If I really think about it, there's so many. Probably the most influential from undergrad is Dr. E. For me, we had some similar stories of childhood, and we could help each other through things. She really helped me through a lot of it, of kind of coping mechanisms, and trying to think of things in a more positive way. It was so helpful, to have somebody to talk to that can relate to you on that level. But she also is such an incredibly knowledgeable person, and all like the fundamental, not that none of the classes in that program are important, but the fundamentals like upper and lower extremity evaluation, athletic training administration, general medical conditions, those are things that we see and handle all the time. And those classes came from her, and just the stories that she shared, to have some personal twists of, okay, well, not just, okay, this is the knee and this is what it does, okay, one time I was doing this, and you remember those things, and it helps you improve your clinical skills. But really all the professors that I've had in undergrad in grad school. One of my professors in grad school was like, have you ever thought about teaching? I was like, no, I do not want to teach. And obviously one of the components of being at Case is being a faculty member and teaching PE. And I really embrace it. It's a little challenging sometimes to balance with athletics, but the stories that the students have told me from either before they took my class or after they took my class is truly rewarding. And it just is so touching to hear those stories and how I can help people save lives. But that's really cool. And really all the athletic trainers, especially from undergrad, that's where I learned all my skills. I learned how to tape from them. Yes, we did it in class, but I'm like, okay, I really want to learn how to do this continuous taping. How do I do this? And just them taking the time to really teach me and sit down and, we're out at a practice and we could just talk about different things, different injuries. And okay, so you were doing this, why did you do that? They really have influenced a lot of my life. And really my part-time job before this was at John Carroll, and Don McPhillips has been a huge help. I mean, that was my first ever job as an athletic trainer, and he helped me so much and just really helping me get my footing. And everybody at Case that I've worked with, my coworkers are awesome. Some of them have a little bit more years of experience under their belt than I do, but that's what I really think helps influence me. They just, okay, like I know what I'm doing, but what else can I do? Or, I'm really struggling here, or watching them do an eval or some kind of stretching. And it's like, oh, okay. Like I never thought about that. It's not so difficult. It's really easy. You just gotta take a step back. And, being able to teach the sports medicine minor students when they're at the clinicals is also really helpful because they're so inquisitive, and that's really helpful, to be able to, oh, well, why do I do that? And to give them that explanation. But really everybody that has been a part of my athletic training career has been super influential in just helping me learn what I know today. So, when you think about it, I mean, I haven't been doing this a super long time. And so I'm sure that you'd have different answers from somebody that has been doing this for 15, 20 plus years. But really, every year there's some small changes. And so one thing that really sticks out to me is the concussion literature. And it's not just concussions, but that's one thing that stands out to me. Back when I was in undergrad, we used to have to say, okay, have your roommate wake you every couple of hours to make sure that you're still okay. And now we don't have to do that. And they used to say absolutely zero activity, like other than walking. But now they're actually starting to say, okay, maybe you can do some light biking, and just small things like that. And it's something that we have to maintain every year. We have to get continuing education units. And so learning so much, and some of it's repetitive, but it never hurts to keep getting that in your brain. Different kind of like ACL programs and rehab programs, those change sometimes a little bit. But concussions are the big one. And, there's always things with exertional heat stroke or, some more severe, possibly life-threatening things that they come out and do research on. And it's like, oh, really? That's cool. Or like you think you knew something and then, oh, it's something different. So for me, the literature is always changing. And I imagine in a couple of more years, there'll be some bigger changes in the field coming up. So that's exciting. This is a loaded question. This is a loaded question for me, and probably my longer answer. So something that I have witnessed outside of Case, when I was in high school, I went to the state track meet in 2010 just to watch. I've competed against some incredible athletes and watched some from the opposite teams, and it's really cool to see them again and again in meets across the year and seasons and watch them succeed. And to be able to watch them at that state level is crazy. You think they're super talented, and then you get there with tons of other talented people, and it's like, wow. And I've always loved running and cross country and track. I've been running since 7th grade, so quite a few years. But it's just unbelievable. I've watched somebody, and I'll never forget this. She broke the high jump state record, and as soon as she cleared it, she stood up on her feet on the mat and was jumping around, and the coach jumped up there and they're hugging and jumping around. And it's fun to watch other people succeed. I've never been a jumper, but it's really cool to be able to watch something like that. And my senior year, so 2012, I had 3 teammates make the state. They qualified for states, and that's something I've wanted since I was in high school. I've always wanted, that's my goal. I need to make it to states, and I was really close my senior year, but unfortunately it didn't happen. But being able to watch somebody you actually competed with, and you got to support them throughout their journey in track and field, and it was really cool to be able to watch somebody that I had a close connection with. And we had a lot of fun out there. And actually one of them, he was a really good basketball player, probably one of our best players. And for years, like, you got to come out for track. Oh no, I don't want to do it. And we finally convinced him his senior year. We put him in the 400, which is like a true blood guts race. And he made it all the way to states and placed 4th in the state. It's just incredible. So that was really fun. So some things that I've been a part of, really, my high school track career was awesome. I loved everybody I had the opportunity to compete with, whether they're older or younger than me. And we were family. You spend so much time together, and that's your outlet. You're in school all day, and then you finally get to track, and we goof around, but we know when to be serious and have fun. But really what's memorable for me is my junior year of track. I was in the best shape of my life. We had the greatest team. The district meet, we broke 3 records in a row. So a teammate broke the 300 hurdle record, and then the 400 meter record, and then I broke the 800 record. And in that moment, you don't realize that it happens, and your parents are in the stands taking like the timer, and okay, maybe they got it, maybe they didn't get the right time, but you get the final time, and it's like, oh wow, like, it's just not what I was ever expecting. But we worked hard. And actually those records still stand. And what's actually really cool is the person that had the 800 record before me, I know her. I competed with her brother, and her mom worked at the school. So that was really cool. Bittersweet for her, of course, because it was her record and she wanted it to be there. But it was really cool. And I actually just looked back at the picture today from a couple of years ago. I met a friend up there, and we're walking around and just reminiscing on our time together there. And, seeing those names that are on that record board, the women aren't as historical. There's a lot more recent records, but the men's side has some really historical records. And to be a part of history like that is truly, I really don't have a word. It's awesome. It just feels so good. And then if I go back, they always like, oh, this person's on the record board, and it's cool for those athletes to see somebody that's on that board. And I remember when alumni came back and they would say, oh, this is Bridget Jacobs, or, and I'm like, wow, like, you're an incredible athlete. Like, I look up to you because you're on that record board. Probably the last thing here is the 4x400 relay. It is a all-out blood guts race, and I've watched tons of videos from all different levels, high school, college, Olympics, and you never know who's gonna win that race. You might think, oh, that team's in first, they're blowing everybody out of the water. Oh no, you never know until they actually cross that finish line, because the first place team can end up in last. And in high school, I ran that race, and it was shortly after the 800, so I didn't always have a ton of juice ready for it, but everybody pumps you up, and it's the last race of the meet, and everybody is on their feet. The stands are cheering, screaming, yelling, clapping, and every team is lined up around the track, screaming and hooting and hollering. And I'll never forget my coach, Mr. Kirby, standing at that 200. Come on, go, 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 pump it, you got 200. And just that excitement you get from that is really fun. And we had dual meets at home, and really, if we weren't home, we still had this many. But he loved the 4x4, and it is a great race. But he had everybody on the team, whether you're a thrower, jumper, sprinter, distance, whatever, you're running that 4x4, and we had fun with it, and the throwers enjoyed it, just to go out there and just do it. And who cares how you place? And we split up our A relay and we all competed against each other. And that was so fun. I could talk about that forever. But also in 2011, we were district runner-up to Magnificat High School. And if you know anything about Magnificat, then pretty much every sport. And track, they've always been very, very good. And we were, I don't think we were too many points behind, but we were really close to them. And to place at districts like that, to be runner-up to Magnificat was awesome. There was an article in the newspaper and our coaches were ecstatic. It was such a huge accomplishment. And that's the same year that we broke all those records. So lots of memories with track. So there's a few things here. But if I think about it, the one thing most people probably don't know, except for those that are serving on the assistant swim coach committee with me, is that Eric Schmall recruited me when I was at Baldwin Wallace to run cross country and track. And we lost him, unfortunately, at Baldwin Wallace, but now he's doing great at Case Western, and we work together. We serve on the search committee together, and he just is full of wisdom, and I just love talking to him when I have a chance, because it can be serious, it can be funny, but whatever it is, I always walk away from that feeling good about myself, whether it's I'm going through this and, he always puts a positive outlook, or, he's going to be upfront and honest with you. And I really appreciate that. So it's really cool to have that connection of, hey, you recruited me. And we actually say that in the interview sometimes, like, because people will do the research and they say, oh, you both were at Baldwin Wallace. And he's like, yeah, I actually recruited her. And so it's really cool to be working with him now and watch him succeed on the other side of it instead of being the athlete. So